Hey all, Board Game Rants here, where you'll find everything solo, tabletop gaming, and more. Cerebria, the inside world. Gonna give you a little overview and an idea of what this one's all about from a solo perspective. Here we go. And let's take it all in, folks, because there's a lot to take in. You got yourself a mad array of tie-dye yumminess, super color fragilistic, super yummy numminess. I know it's not a word, but this here is real. Very generally, because we're going to have to go through this quick, because this is a big game and I want to show you a little bit of it. You are inside the mind of an individual, and this is an objective-driven area control game. Sort of like a war game, a war inside the mind, where you are literally going to be playing with someone's emotions. In my case, I'm going to be playing the spirit of empathy, and I'm going to be trucking around here. There's my guy, trucking around inside Cerebria and trying to throw out my positive emotions out there and take over. But I'm going to be battling against gloom. And that's going to be represented by these two spirits here. Gloom is going to be controlled by, and actually, it's called the ego, which is, if you play solo or you can play this in co-op fashion, you're going to play against ego. But essentially, this game is a team game where it pits bliss and its emotions against gloom and those emotions. And your emotions are cards that are going to come out on this board, and you're going to be adding little tokens on there. It's going to increase their strength, and it's going to allow you to dominate areas of Cerebria. And timing is everything, because you're going to be looking at these objectives over here, and a whole row of them. And those are going to be the common objectives. Each one is only going to be one that you focus on at a time. But then everybody also has a stack of their own. It's just the same as these, but Gloom has their stack, and I have my stack. Mine's flipped over because it's a hidden objective. They're called aspirations in this game. But you know, I'm just playing against myself. If ego can somehow look at this and figure out how to beat me by looking at that, I'm in trouble. So ego has its own little automated thing that it does, but its hidden objective stays hidden until a certain thing. We're both going after this one, and then we both have our own hidden objectives that we will score should there be a revelation. And a revelation is going to occur. That's like a scoring round is going to occur when one of these, and there's this cool little thing, and it spins around, and this is the source, or no, the origin, and it has a bunch of willpower on it. Willpower is like your money that you're going to use to spend to play emotions out there. And there's some basic emotions that you start with. There's 2 from the bliss side, and then there's 2 from the gloom side, and that kind of sets up. So gloom controls 2 frontiers and 1 realm. Bliss controls, that's me, 2 frontiers and 1 realm. I'll show you what that means in a second. But you're going to be using willpower as like money to put out emotions and take control out here. And when one of these little pockets runs out, when it's all gone, when they're all, and these are nice, these are cool, they're indented. Once one is out, then it triggers a revelation, which is kind of, it symbolizes like when a person just hits that time in life where something serious is going on, and whatever they're feeling at the time really sticks. And then what you're going to get to do is going to be the super fun part, which is will be putting fragments out here and creating this person's identity. And so there's, for instance, that's a gloom fragment, and a big one. That was a major one. And then here's, I'm just throwing these out. There's certainly a pattern to it. Like if you've completed a certain number of objectives or not, you're going to be able to put out a major fragment or a minor fragment. And of course, you want to put out the most fragments, because this tower that's getting created is going to become this person's identity. And at the end, whoever has basically the most influence out here is going to determine whether you have created a particularly gloomy character or a particularly blissful character. So if you're not playing this by yourself like I am against ego, you're playing a team game. And if there's 4 players, then 2 are going to represent gloom and 2 are going to represent bliss. But you can also play it 3 players or 2 players or 1 player. And it has little modifications that you do to do all of that, and works very well. Well, I can't really speak on that because I've only played it solo, but it works very well from a solo perspective. And so I'm going to put these back and show you a little bit on what the game does, how it works, the mechanics, and a little bit more about the cards and what you can put out there. When I start the game, I'm going to have 2 cards in my hand. These cards are going to be, and there's going to be card 1 face up, so I can always see what's coming up. And I'm going to be taking these cards, and I'm going to be playing them out onto the board. And in that way, I will be strengthening my position out there. I'll be taking actions such as move. That's going to move my spirit around on the board so that I can, because you have to be adjacent to the areas you want to affect. There's lots of little rules there where that's concerned. Invoke, that's essentially invoking, playing emotion. And when you play an emotion, you have to put an essence token on it. That's why all these have a little, either a bliss or a gloom essence token. And then quell, that means that's a way that I can remove, I can quell my opposing emotion of gloom and get it off of the board, or at least reduce it in intensity, which is like strength in this game. Fortify, I can add these fragments instead of ultimately adding them to the identity of the character we're trying to build here, the person, the human, emotionally, their emotional identity. I can put a fragment out here in one of these spaces and strengthen my position in a realm. And then empower down here, this action allows you to take your mild, these are all mild emotions, and I could upgrade them. I could upgrade desire to, whoops, it's upside down, up to longing. And what I would do there is I would take that action, as long as it's already out on the board somewhere, and then I go through that stack and I find longing and I replace desire with longing, and it's just a stronger emotion that allows me to hold my position out there a little bit better. So gloom is going to be doing the same thing. Ego is going to be putting cards out there. It's going to be taking cards away, and we're going to be trying to get after realms and frontiers. And so there's you can see these silhouettes of the cards out here, and there's already some starter ones. And so this right here, this particular area made up of a triad of cards, of emotion cards, is called a frontier. And whoever controls this frontier gets to take this token and either have it on the bliss side or on the gloom side, or off if nobody controls it, or you're tied. But right now, bliss, me, I control this with 1 intensity, so I get to put that token here. Realms are a little different. Realms are kind of in between these triads and include the 2 cards to the left of this triad and the 2 cards to the right on this triad. So a total of 4 cards determine who rules a realm. And the same thing goes with this ring here. So you're going to be putting a bliss side up, a gloom side up, or it off to the side if nobody controls it. Right now, it's 1-to-1, so it's tied, so nobody controls the network of thoughts. And these realms allow our different actions too that you can use willpower to do. And there's 5 realms out there, and there's 5 frontiers. And so I think that is enough to give you an idea of what we're going to be going after. I'd like to play a few rounds and show you this in action, if you will. Okay, I made some quick changes. I actually flipped these boards over to their A side because I'm just more familiar with those. Should have to look up less things. And I dismantled the identity. I broke it down emotionally. Cerebria starts from scratch. And I think we're ready to go. I'm going to hopefully show you a few other things, and we can get maybe to a first revelation at least, so you can see the flow of this. So what you usually start with is you find out what your goals are. And right now, my hidden aspiration, my hidden objective is fortitude, getting these little buggers out on the board. And I don't know what I'm up against here. I don't know what gloom's hidden aspiration is. Ego is hiding that. But I do know liveliness is the other thing, and that means having more essence out on the board. Essence is these little tokens. I've got 2 out. Gloom has 2 out. We're currently tied there. So the 2 things I want to work on are getting essence out on the board and fortifying. So these are the first 4 actions that I can take. And you can line these up. These are just little wild. This is unlocking basically these actions. And you can see there's room here where I can put more things in and upgrade an action. So I can take it for less or do more with it by upgrading. You'll see here in a sec, but I can actually move these around. Maybe I don't want to quell. Right now, I don't have a big reason to need to remove stuff, but quelling might come in handy if I want to reduce the bit of essence, because that's basically what quelling is you remove essence from your opponent's emotions. So maybe quell is a good thing, invoke is definitely a good thing, fortify. I'm just going to keep all these, but I could move this over here and be like, okay, I want to take this fortify action. For 1 less willpower, now it'll only cost me 2, up here is the cost to take an action. Now for 2 willpower, I could fortify. But I can't invoke now, because I'd have to put a vibe token, is what it's called there, just to unlock that action. But I don't want to do that. I'm just going to leave all these here so that I have access to all 4 of these actions at their basic level. And let's get rolling. I have 3 actions that I can take that I'm gonna keep track with this. And so let's go with fortify first. Where do I want to fortify? Well, there's a couple spots I could fortify. I can fortify up here. I have to fortify adjacent to my spirit, or I have to do pretty much anything you do, you got to do adjacent to your spirit. So I happen to be, this guy is adjacent to this slot right here, and to these 2 potential spots to fortify, and also adjacent to these 2 spots on the origin, which will make sense here in a little bit. So being adjacent to those, let's go ahead and fortify. I'm going to spend 1, 2, 3. And you know what I'll do? Actually, I'll show you how you upgrade an action. You look at these, you look at your cards, and you look at this top left symbol. Whatever color it is, the symbology doesn't matter, but whatever color it is, that's the vibe token. I can upgrade my fortify action once by discarding a card and taking the appropriate vibe token. So I will do that. So here's the green vibe token. I'm going to upgrade fortify before I take that action, and now I can use just 2 willpower instead of, just like I was saying. So I'm going to 2 willpower. I'm going to take this, I've got a stack of fragments here, and I'm going to put it right there, and I am going to fortify. So now I've got 1 intensity plus 1 essence. That's 2 strength, basically, 2 intensity, to rule the Valley of Motives there. So I'm just locking my place in. And then I moved this over because I took an action. And then speaking of the Valley of Motives, that is a nice one. Now when you control a realm, you get to take its action, which says basically spend a willpower to get 4 willpower. And willpower is important, it's like money. But when you control that realm of that action, then you get to take that action for 1 less willpower. So essentially, I can just get 4 willpower for free. It costs me an action. I'll do that. Can't have enough willpower, tell you what. And then lastly, what am I going to do? Let's just go ahead and invoke some kindness. Ooh, you know what? I actually like... So let's reverse. I'm going to... This is a green vibe too. So let's say I discarded that instead of... Because if I recall... This... Yes. Yeah, I want to invoke desire. So I'm going to take an action to invoke desire. It says it costs 2 willpower, and I have to put an essence on it from my board. So I'm going to invoke willpower, or desire, sorry, right there. It's going to cost me 2 willpower to do so. And I have to take an essence from my board. That's what it's saying right there. And now I've invoked that, and then I look at this, it says in unity. So if I have... if this is my longest adjacent string of emotions, then I get to put a +1 intensity token. Well, it is because it's the only spot on the board where I have 2 adjacent emotions. So that is my longest. And so I get to put that +1 there, just solidifying my spot up there in the Valley of Motives area and the corresponding triad. So that was my 3rd action. Now I get to reset. Now this little token is usually flipped over, and I can take what's called an absorb action, but when you're the first player, you don't get to do that. So I now get to reset that, and as I swing through here, it's telling me if I have no willpower, I take 1. I have willpower, but it's also saying I have the option of either flipping over an ambition token or drawing 2 cards. Well, for now, I'm just going to draw 2 cards. So I'm getting cheerfulness, which I knew I would get, and then I'm getting sociability, and you always flip over the top card so you know what's coming. And that completes my turn. So now let's see what ego. who's really full of himself or herself. So we're going to flip this over. So before I do this, this was basically, I'm looking at this now and I'm seeing I should have probably looked to see this card is going to be matched up with this card, and it's going to tell me what Ego is going to do this round, which on this card, it's going to take this shield looking action, and then it's going to do the bonus. So that shield action is actually, son of a gun, nice move. It's going to basically dismantle one of my fragments and raise it. And or it's going to add its own. And so that's a bit of a bummer. But what Ego always does is take into account the objectives, so the aspirations. So right now, have more essence on the main board. That is going to be its target aspiration, because I have now got 3 essence on the board and it only has 2. However, this action doesn't have it, it doesn't help it in any way. So it's just going to focus on realm control and then frontier control, and then possibly, you know, whenever you're playing a game that's about area control and you're playing it solo, you're just going to have a string of tiebreakers to worry about. And that is actually taken care of right over here. We can see on this, there's a sheet here that goes over all the actions, which is nice. So I could see, oh, okay, it's the teal purple action. So let's see here, teal, it's telling me raise 1 fortress if possible, otherwise fortify 1 realm. And then also here it has, when you take these types of actions, there's the tiebreakers you can go through here. Most impact, no move required, clockwise. So all of the stuff that you really need to know is on the back of this solo co-op game rule manual, and comes in handy. You're going to need that. So I'm going to go back over here, and I can see that I need to okay, and by the way, this little over here, this keeps track of, so I went first. Now I usually push that up, and now this guy is going second. So I look over here, that's this fellow, the gatekeeper is going to go. Well, the gatekeeper has to be adjacent still to that, and being as how that is the only place it can raise, it gets to move 1 space. It can move 1 space either way. It's going to move there. It's going to raise my fortress, blast it all. It's a waste for me, but that's just what happens in this game. So raise that, and then it's saying it would do a bonus action, which is it would raise again. If I had another, if it would do it again, but it can't because there's no more on the board. So at least I'm spared that action. And then it goes down here and it looks at an absorb ability. Now I'm going to have this ability on my next turn, but what Ego is going to do is going to look and see if it's winning this current aspiration. It is not. I am winning it. So it's going to take and keep 1 willpower from the largest sphere next to it. So these are the spheres in the origin, and the largest meaning whatever has the most willpower, and when they're tied, they both have 7. All these start with 7. It's going to take the one clockwise from it. Well, first it would take one from nearest to its fortress. There are no fortresses out here. So it's going to take this, and it's going to keep it. It's going to put it right here on that card, and that is going to help it win and beat me in objectives here coming up, aspirations. It's going to use willpower. It uses willpower in a totally different way. It doesn't pay for any actions. It just gets to basically follow these rule orders on these cards. And now its turn is over. Oh, except for anytime something's taken from the origin, then you always spin it 1 turn clockwise. We'll flip this over so that we can again see, oh, okay. Now I can see that next turn, Ego might do this action, or this action. Oh, again. Oh, see, now this time that it's changed around. It will first try to fortify and then raise. So it's a little different. Anyway, back over to my turn now. So I might put this here, and then I'd put that there. Because next, after my turn, Ego's going to go with their other spirit, which will be this guy, the influencer. So, and it's going to do gatekeeper, influencer, well, first it's going to do to me, and then gatekeeper, then me, then influencer, then me, then gatekeeper, and that's how the turn order is going to kind of, so I use this to keep track of with these tokens here. So now it is my turn. Let's think real quick what I might want to do. So knowing that my opponent may do some quelling over here, I am going to, and I'm going to just remove my my one fragment, so I kind of wasted a turn there, but it just battled right back. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use an action called, it's Land of Desires. Now, right now, Ego controls Land of Desires, so it's going to, I don't get to use this action for free, but I spend 1 willpower and it allows me to put an essence token. I want to increase my essence token because that's part of, or my essence, because that's part of the right now, the common aspiration, the objectives. So I need to spend 1 willpower, and I'm taking that action and I'm taking the essence on my board, and I'm going up here. And I am now at 2, 3. Oh, and by the way, I do control the Cradle of Senses because it, again, is the 2 here and the 2 here. So I control the Cradle of Senses. That's a good thing. But now I'm in a position where I can upgrade Desire into its stronger emotion of longing. Once I've got enough essence on there to get to that little, you can see that, barely see that little symbol there saying, hey, you can upgrade me. So why not? Well, because I can't. I haven't unlocked the Empower action. But if I want to, I can upgrade 1 time. So I'm going to go ahead and discard... let's discard Sociability. And, I mean, now I'm playing this game solo. So, obviously, I'm not all about sociability. So we'll discard that. That was... Oh, I already forgot what the vibe was. It was a red vibe. So, I'm going to find a red vibe here. And I'm going to unlock the Empower action, which allows me, it's showing me, upgrade. So I spend 3 willpower. Go. And I go up here and I hunt down longing. So let's see here. It's going to be a green vibe action. And let's see here. Where are you? Longing, H-I-J-K-L. I have these in alphabetical order. There it is. So we'll put these back. And we have now simply need to switch this out. So this is going to go here. This is going to go actually back underneath my deck. It gets discarded, but it goes back in my deck as I replace with longing. And I get to put these essence tokens right back on it, but now I need to pay attention. Okay, so now it's saying if this is, again, in Unity, which it is still my longest, but now being the upgraded action, oops, I get to wreck things. I get to now, instead of this 1, I'm going to flip it over, and now I'm at 2 intensity. So I'm just continuing to make sure, try and dominate that area over there, try and keeping the essence going, growing strong. That was my second action. And now I am going to... Now I can do this. This is my absorb ability. I haven't used it yet. So what I can do is flip this over, and now I can look, and whatever spot I'm adjacent to. So right now, the space I'm on is a frontier space. And if I was over here, I'm on a realm space. So on a frontier space, you are adjacent to these 2 little pods here. And so you always, when you do your absorb ability, I get to take 2 willpower from one of these pods. Plus, if I happen to control that frontier, that I'm on a frontier space, I control that, I get to take 1 extra willpower. I control this frontier, so I want more essence. So I'm going to, that's the bonus ability of absorbing from humility. So I'm going to take the 2 plus the 1 from the frontier because I rule it. I put these here, and then I get to take this bonus, which is basically an essence from the board. I can't really place essence out here until it's on my board. That's the general supply. So that was the little bonus action I got to take for absorbing from there, and then I got to turn it once clockwise like that. So that was, I flipped this over to, it's not an action, it's just basically an ability. You just flip that over, and I've done my absorb ability for this turn. It's a way that you can absorb from the origin and keep a willpower supply going. It's also, as you recall, it's how once one of these pods is empty, then a revelation is going to occur. So now what do I want to do in my last action? Well, let's see here. Why not just, well, yeah, let's get ahead. Let's go ahead and scooch on over. Let's, I feel like we've got good control of that. Wait, no, let's fortify. Yeah, let's do it. Let's fortify. So for 3 minus 1 is 2. And then let's hope that he doesn't just steal it again. So I'm going to fortify, but this time I've got, bad experience fortifying over there, don't I? So we're going to fortify right there. Has to be adjacent to me. We've done that. So now we're just really trying to lock ourselves in over here. So that was my last action. Now I get to reset my absorbability, swing through here. Again, I can take 2 cards or flip over one of these ambition tokens. I'm going to flip over an ambition token because that gives me access to these sets of actions right here. So I'm going to flip that over. Instead of drawing cards, I still got 1 card. And now we'll see what ego is going to do. I'm going to slide this back. I'm going to pull that out there. And let's see. Be nice now. It's going to take this little ninja star action. Oh, okay. So it's going to start quelling emotions. So that it's going to take account, have more essence on the main board. It does not. So that's its target aspiration. If it was winning this, by the way, then I'd be able to flip this hidden one over and then ego would go after that. And at least I'd see. But until it's winning this common aspiration, it's going to keep working it. And this is telling me it's going to remove essence. So that's a bummer, but it's this guy right here. It's not that spirit anymore. So this spirit has access. It can move 1 space here or here. And it kind of breaks the rules. It gets to move. It never is going to end up on a frontier space. The influencer always stays on these realm spaces. And ego's one of its rules is that it can move 1 space either left or right. So it has access to tremendous portions of the board when it needs to take an action. So the only spot it has access to right now to reach me potentially is brightness over here. So that's its only option. It's going to move over here. Don't really have to mess with tiebreakers. It's going to quell brightness, which is a bummer. This gets discarded. Let's put it over in my little slot there. I have now lost control of this frontier, and ego just took control of the network of thoughts, the realm there. So not a very nice move now because it couldn't do its complete action, what we want to see, because it would quell, and then, but it can only move once. So it's quelled once, and it says plus quell another card. But if it can't, let's see if it, what it's got going on here. That's purple-orange. Then it says quell 1 essence off an emotion, then quell 1 essence off a different emotion. If ego can only quell 1 essence off an emotion, it also scores a point. So that's something we haven't talked about here quite yet. This is the Wheel of Intentions. Now, when you're playing ego, all this does is keep track of its extra scoring. But for us, we have our own Wheel of Intentions, and that is another way that you can score in this game, is by taking certain actions down here. You'll score points and keep track of it up there on the Wheel of Intentions. If I take a quell action, if when I do an absorb, I take 4 willpower, that means I'd actually have to be in a realm space, my spirit, and I'd have to control the 2 adjacent frontiers, which maybe it'll happen. But anyway, I would get points if I did a really good absorb, if I quell, just like he just did to me, just like ego did me. If I get all 3 essence tokens, if I fill up an emotion with all essence tokens, and I'd also, if I manage to level up an entire action, so if I got vibe tokens all the way across a row, I would get some extra points. You'd get 1 point for doing any of these 1 time on your turn. You get, if you do any of these a 2nd time on your turn, you get 2 points. So that can be another real cool way to score down the road. But right now, so let's see here. Did it finish its turn? Yes, it finished its turn. And this is saying ego would have moved if it hadn't moved already, but it did, so it doesn't get to move counterclockwise. We'll set these over, and we'll put that there. And it gets to do its absorbability because it is not winning the, well, let's see here, is it? No, I've got 1, 2, 3, and it has 2. So I'm still winning, so it's just going to take from an adjacent little pod here 1 willpower. It's going to set that over there and spin this. If ego was winning, it starts taking a lot of these willpower off because it wants to get a revelation going because it's winning the current objectives. But it's not, so it takes it slow. It's smart. Ego is smart. So it's back to my turn, and let's see what we want to do next. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let's put that back, and it is our turn here. Now, I don't have to worry. I'm looking over here, so ego next turn is going to do a bunch of essence stuff, either quell more of my stuff or add some cards and add an essence on there. So I don't have to worry about him raising my fortress over there, my fragment. So First and foremost, why don't we do this? I'm over here anyway, and I've got an essence here. I'm going to take the action of Lands of Desire, and I'm going to add an essence token. And the first one cost me a willpower. So I'm going to spend this willpower. I'm going to put this essence token up here. Because if he's going to start quelling stuff, I don't want to lose longing, because I've built it up. And now I've got, boy, I got an intensity of 4 + 2 is 6. That's a high level of intensity. And so that has occurred, and now I get to look over here. Remember, I was just talking about this intentions. I have just maxed out an emotion with essence tokens. So I get to score a point. And then up here too, as you work your way around the wheel of intentions, it has little bonus things. Like if I get to that number 2 there, I get to take an essence from the board and put it on from the general supply and add it to my supply. If I get to 4, I get to draw a free card. If I get to go here, I get to flip over an ambition token for free. So as you score on the wheel of intentions, not only do you score points, but you can get little bonuses on the way. So I'm on my way. Scored a point there. If I can manage to pull off another one of these this turn, I'll get 2 points. But I don't think I'm going to be able to. Anyway, well, I could. And it might even be worth it here just to get another 2 points. See, what I could do is I could spend... one thing I can do with my ambition tokens is I can spend 1, and it allows me to upgrade for free. So if I upgrade, let's say I just upgrade any one of these. I can't have the same... So we'll just use this blue, because what I want to do is end up using cheerfulness here in a second, you'll see. So I just flipped over this ambition token. It gives me another kind of a free action, and I'll just put it here. And then now that wasn't an action, so I still got 2 actions left, and I still have my absorb ability. So what we'll do, we'll use our absorb ability now, and we'll look up here again. I'm on a frontier space. I control that frontier. I'm going to absorb from either one of these, and what I could do is absorb from, I can get another free upgrade there, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to absorb from here, because I get 1, 2, and you always get 2, 3 for that frontier, and then it says I can spend 1 and flip over an ambition token, so I can get another ambition token. Those are hard to flip over, so I'll spend the 1. I'm only keeping the 2. Get to flip this back over. It doesn't really matter which one you flip over. It's just, you can only ever have 3 total. And then you always, after you've done it, you spin that one turn. And then I flip this over, and now I've got another ambition token. Now I can't flip this over and take this action again. You can only do these free actions once per turn. So, so now if I want to, I could fortify. I think I'm going to, because I can, whenever you take an action, you can choose to upgrade it. You have to take that action. Here you don't have to. You can just flip over one of these and upgrade any action, and you don't have to take that action. But if you want to upgrade an ability by discarding one of your emotions in your hand, you have to take that action. So I'm going to take the fortify action, because the vibe here is yellow on the top left. You can see there. I can put it there. I couldn't have a green or a blue one. I'm going to discard. So now I have no cards in my hand, but I get to upgrade, take a yellow vibe, upgrade this. Doesn't mean I have to use all of these powers, but what this is saying now is when I fortify, I can flip over an ambition token and fortify a small fragment into a major fragment, or I can raise my opponent's fragments if he doesn't have any out there, and I can always do all these actions for 1 less willpower. Well, right now I am going to let's see here. I've got this. So I'm going to go ahead and for 1, 2, 3, -1 is 2. And then I can flip over my ambition token here to change my small fragment into a major fragment. So I'm going to take that action. Move that there. I'm going to spend 2 willpower. I'm going to flip this. Well, let's see here. Do I want to do that, or do I just want to strengthen? You know what? I'm not going to. I could strengthen this. I could replace it with this big one and flip this over, and it would be worth 2 intensity. Or I can just bounce over here and add that there and put a +1 intensity token on that. Let's just do that, because I'm adjacent to that as well. So I'm just going to kind of keep spreading out here and go that route. And also that way I don't have to spend one of these glorious ambition tokens. So I'm going to hold on to that. That was my second action. And then, I maxed out my intentions on, or I didn't max out my intentions. I maxed out, leveled up this entire fortify action, and in doing that, I have completed an intention, and it's the second time I've done one this turn. First it was this one, and now I'm doing this one. I get 2 points on the wheel of intention, and boom, boom. That is big. These can score you lots of extra points, and I passed that, which means I can take from the general supply an essence token and put it right there. Excellent, because I need that. And I still have 1 action to take. Let's just go ahead. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and we just need we need more willpower. I'm running low, so I'm going to just use my Valley of Motives up there for free and draw 4 more willpower. There we go. Now I get to reset, flip this over. I'm holding on to my ambition token. I'm going to draw 2 cards. That's the other thing I can do instead. So I'm going to draw 2 cards, and that is the end of my turn. Just that easy. Just, you know, the turns are just so dang simple and straightforward. They are. I mean, they're wonderful. There's so many awesome choices and stuff to make, and you can do so many things. I love it. Anyway, let's go back on over to Ego here. Let's go ahead. I've taken that. It's now Ego's turn, and it is the Gatekeeper's turn up there. Sitting on my spot up there. What are you going to do to me there, Gatekeeper? Be nice. I will say that. It's never nice. Okay, so we've got the orange and the green. So right here, okay, going to draw 3 cards, and then it's going to invoke 1 with 2 essence. And that's what it's going to do. So that means this is the first card, second card, third card. Now, I just know, you know, kind of the rules over here. And so I know it's going to invoke first priority. It's going to invoke 1 card, and priority is going to be one that it doesn't have a particular vibe on the board yet. Well, it doesn't have, all it has is bleakness on the board, and bleakness doesn't even have a vibe on it. So all these are valid. Then it's going to take the one that has the highest potential ability to have the highest intensity. That is this guy. So, because guilt, if he maxed it out with essence, it would have an intensity of 3. These only have an intensity of 2. So these are going to get discarded. Ugh. Wow, that worked. I thought I was going to shoot these cards all over the place. And it's going to invoke guilt with 2 essence. So where is it going to invoke guilt with 2 essence? So now we have to, well, I should have done this earlier. It doesn't have more essence on the board. That's going to be its target aspiration, because I have 4 essence on the board. It only has still the same 2. So that's its target aspiration. And it's got to do it somewhere near the Gatekeeper here. So again, the Gatekeeper can move here, and it has access. So it's a little different. Again, Ego has a wide range that it can affect on its turns. So it wants to try and take over a realm if it can. So the only spots that the Gatekeeper could put would be right here. It could move 1 space, and it could put its card here and here, or it could move 1 space here, and it could put them on any 3 of those. So now we start going through the tiebreakers. Well, what it wants to do is wrestle a realm away from me. That's its first order of impact. So, what it's going to look at, if it went here and put 2 essence, it would take over that, as it would take this over from me. And if it goes here, it would just take this realm. It wouldn't impact me. So it doesn't want to go here. It's going to go here, here, or here, or it won't matter. If it goes here, it wouldn't be strong enough to take. I've got 6 intensity here, but and if it went here, it would not. So its only spots are here now, and here to wrestle away a realm from me. And so now what we look at is what would impact it. How would it might wrestle away a frontier from me? Well, if it goes here, it's still not going to be strong enough here to take away control of the frontier from me. If it goes here, it will get frontier control. So that is, and then if it goes, here or here, it'll get frontier control, and it would, it would not. I'm sorry, it will not, because I've got these 2. So it's not going to even bother with these. The only way it could wrestle realm from me would be going right here. Because if it went here, it would still not be strong enough to go up against longing and brightness. But right here, you're going to see what happens. This is the bummer. It's going to take guilt. It's going to put it right there. It's going to put its 2 essence here. And then the way realms work now in triads, it just doesn't matter what order the cards are in. You just I've got 4, 5, 6, 7 intensity against Gloom's 2. I win this frontier. But in realms, you can cut each other off, and he just cut me off. So these cards always take priority over the cards on the outside of the realm. And if you happen to cut off your opposing opponent's emotion, like guilt just did, it's cut off its influence to Cradle of Senses, no matter how strong that is. And so I've just been cut off. Now, this realm control goes to Gloom with 2. I have 1, still 1 influence here because of my fortress, but that's it, 2 to 1, and he cut off Longing. So until I get this guy out of the way or add more influence here, I have just been ousted. Cradle Senses. Nice one, Ego. You are not very nice. That is its turn, and let's see here. It did not move. Because Ego did not move, it's going to take this move action, which says clockwise. So we're going to take the Gatekeeper, we're going to move it 1 space clockwise, and that's going to complete its turn. Son of a gun. Foiled again. Flip this over. It is now going to absorb. It is how's it doing? Liveliness. Have more essence on the main board. Well, now it's got 1, 2 to my 4. Well, I'm sorry, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 to my 4. So it's still not winning. So it's only going to take 1. It's going to take 1 from the most. So there's 7 here, 4 there. So it's going to take 1 from here. Again, it's taking slowly from the origin because it's not winning any objectives yet. So it doesn't want to clear off a bunch. If it starts winning, it'll start taking off 3 at a time from the least. So it'll start really winging through those later on. But it has taken its turn, and you can see that it's pretty smart. It's a wily AI system here with Ego. All right, what are we gonna do on our turn? Let's put that there. It is our turn. And I forgot I was supposed to. So whenever you absorb, you always twist that a scoosh there. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking it's time for a quick strike. It's time for a revelation. It's time for me to take advantage. I'm not winning the common aspiration yet, but I can change that. I am winning my hidden aspiration there. And I can see this blasted Ego might raise me, and it's certainly, it could also put out a bunch more essence. This is its own little special set of actions there that could be devastating. So it's already made me feel guilty for all my longing and shut down the Cradle of Senses over there. Blasted also. Let's get in here. Let's show you a revelation. I'm going to first move. I'm going to spend 1, and I think let's see here. Why not? Let's use Courage to upgrade our move action. That was a red one, I believe. And yes, red vibe there. I take the red vibe. And let's upgrade our move action. Put that there. Now I can move basically for free. It used to cost me a willpower. Now I can move 1 space for free. There's that. So it cost me the action. Did that. Now let's go ahead and invoke. Let's invoke. I have this essence that I just got from my Wheel of Intentions. Cheerfulness. Let's invoke some. Look at these. The art on these is just magnificent. I love the art. It's just adorable and so just intricate. This game. So, cheerfulness. Invoking. So the only spot I can invoke is adjacent to me. We're invoking some cheerfulness right there. We're going to put our essence token right here. Now, by invoking it, it's saying this, and all these cards have their powers there that you got to pay attention to. Now, I get 3 willpower just for invoking cheerfulness. Jeez, why can't I see that? There's 1, 2, and 3. Just so dang happy. I'm full of willpower right now to do the right thing. So now I've done that, and I have not paid. I have to spend this. Oh, and then invoke cost me 2. So, cost me the 2 to invoke that. And now let's just go ahead and get this done. So I can do my absorb ability, flip this over, and I can absorb from either here or here. I'm going to absorb from humility. I get to take the 2, as always, and then now I control this frontier. Actually, I control this realm over here now because there's nobody competing for me there. It strengthens my position and value of motives, but now because I control this frontier, I get to take one extra, and I get an essence from the board again. So I'll put that in my supply. I take those 3, and now a revelation has occurred. A crossroads in life has been hit, and some stuff is going to stick in that identity. What? Well, now what we get to do is go through. First, we look at the common aspirations. Liveliness, have more essence on the main board. So, do I? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then gloom has 1, 2, 3, 4. However, I was alluding to this, it was collecting willpower for something. It can reduce my standing and will. It all starts with this, and then it goes through some other tiebreakers. But first, it's going to try to win this. And the way it can win that is by spending willpower on its card here. And it can reduce my standing and basically increase its standing by 1 by discarding 2 willpower. So now, if we were to look at the standings, if you will, it's 5 to 4 where liveliness is concerned. Now it's discarding this. Now it's 4 to 4, if you will. And now it can discard 1 more to increase its standing, 1 more space, and now it is ahead of me. And so essentially now you could say it's either reduced. I think it reduces my standing, and so that it can catch up. So now I am technically at 3, and it is at 4 by discarding this willpower. And this is going to go over here. And so now ego has 1 liveliness by having that willpower there. And so that it has taken over liveliness. It gets to add a minor fragment to that, but we'll see in a second. Actually, it might be more. It's 1, the common aspiration. I have 1, my private aspiration of fortitude, because I have 2 fragments out there. It doesn't have any more willpower to stop me. But now we have to see what its hidden aspiration was. Hidden aspiration was attitude, control more realms. Well, that is a bummer, because it controls this realm. It controls this realm. Ego, oh man, I had solid domination there until it blocked me with guilt. And ridden with guilt, I lost control of Cradle of Senses. So that was big, because it's 3 realms to my control of 2 realms. Ego has 1, its hidden aspiration and the common aspiration. It now gets to, instead of placing a minor fragment, gets to place a major fragment. This goes out on the board, but wasn't all for naught. I get to put a minor fragment out on the board. Now, whenever I put a fragment out on there, ego gets a willpower. That's going to come in handy for it next time there's a revelation. And now what happens is this goes away. So this no longer is a goal to be achieved this game. We go to the next one, versatility. And this now also is no longer valid for, I guess I should put these like this and like that. And then I'm going to discard mine as well. Here's my fortitude. And so our next common aspiration is going to be versatility, have more different vibes on emotions. And that's what I've been using. So right now I've got yellow, green, and let's see here, ego only has yellow. So I'm currently winning, at least till right now, that common aspiration. And because I was able to put out a minor aspiration, sometimes you get to pick and kind of go through the top 3 of these and see which aspiration you might want to have as your hidden one. But I don't get to. I would just flip this over. This is going to be awareness, have emotions and more triads. Well, let's see, how am I doing on that? This is a triad, this is a triad, this is a triad. So gloom has 1, 2, 3, has emotions in 3 triads. So I only have emotions in 1, 2 triads. So I'm currently losing my hidden aspiration right now. So I got to go to work fixing that. We don't get to see what ego's hidden aspiration is here, of course. And lastly, because I took absorbed from this pod here, I actually get to add any fortresses that were prior to this turn added to the board. So I can Get rid of this, and I do get to add this. So this becomes part of the permanent identity of this individual. And so it's almost a wash there. But these major fragments are worth, at the end of the game, major fragments are worth 5 points. Minor fragments are worth 3 points. So my 2 minor fragments are worth 6 points to his 5. So I actually am a smidge ahead right now. Plus the points I've gotten for Wheel of Intention. I'm at 3. Those are going to be added to our final score at the end of the game. But getting ahead of myself a little bit here. Now we restock the origin here with 7 willpower. It always starts with 7 in each pod there. And there is that. This gets turned clockwise one round there. And now it would be back to me. I still have an action left. You know, this absorb again doesn't take up an action. It's just one thing you get to do once a turn. Still have 1 action left. I could get more cards. I could do, you know, any of my actions here. And I think though that is, I think I've touched on just about everything in that game. As you can see, this is going to get built up. As more of these pods are going to get emptied, more revelations are going to occur. We're going to be working our way down the line here in the objectives, the aspirations to be. And then if one of us, if you actually run out of the ability to place one of your fragments, that can end the game. Or if you get all the way to the end, as far as all the revelations and scoring all the aspirations. So, and then at the end, there's going to be a huge tower here, and you're going to add up the points for your tower that's created, plus any points that you've gotten from your Wheel of Intentions, and that will be the winner. So that is Cerebria. This is just a beautiful beast of a game that didn't get much love. It deserves it. There are some excellent tutorial videos, a couple that I watched several times, to really get the hang of this game, and it was worth every bit. And so hopefully this gives you a good idea whether this might be a game for you. These are the same creators, Mind Clash, that published Anachrony and Trickerion, which I don't have, but I will get. It's now coming out with an official solo variant, so that is on the list. But this one, again, created by the designer, or maybe I haven't even mentioned yet, David Turczi, if I'm saying that right, who I believe is about the best in creating the most innovative solo variants on the planet right now. I am super impressed. Again, this is a complex game, and to create a worthy AI opponent could not have been a simple endeavor. Cerebria, the Inside World on Board Game Rants. Thank you so much for watching. I'm out.